Everyone, thank you for calling in for the official 2022 kickoff for Phoenix Construction or Phoenix Construction Phoenix Metro. Obviously, we've changed names, trying to get a little bit more consistency in all of our social media, email accounts, and everything, which we're still working on getting everything caught up. Also trying to be a little bit more inclusive of the surrounding areas, which we'll get to a little bit more detail here in a moment. I'm Stephen Still, one of the co-chairs again this year. I think I'm on year 4. I don't remember if that includes 2020 or not when we didn't quite manage an event. My co-chair is Diana Smith with AIA. So Diana, introduce yourself real quick.
Hi all, I'm Diana Smith. I'm the Director of Local Chapters for AI Arizona. Canstruction is one of my favorite events, so we are so excited to be partners in this event and looking forward to this year especially.
All right, thank you very much. All right, so we'll get going through the slide deck. The beginning information is pretty general for Canstruction's event, just in case anyone isn't familiar with Canstruction as a whole. Then we'll get a little bit more of kind of our specific dates, and then we'll get into the kind of rules, regulations, lessons learned, the things we've discovered over the years of doing construction. So what is Canstruction? I believe the next slide has a little more info as well. It's a global organization at this point. There are construction events all around the world. They're up to several hundred cities have held a construction event. There's about 90 that are active in any given year or another. Originally administered by the Society for Design Administration. It's kind of been branched out. Every city has its own chapter. The chapters are headed up by AIA, SMPS, SDA if they have a local chapter. And really those organizations locally help organize events for specific cities. Phoenix Metro, I believe this is the 4th year as the primary sponsor and 12, 13 years as an event sponsor as a whole. So they've been around for a significant number of the events over the years. Each local chapter pretty much designates a local food bank that the event supports. Ours is St. Mary's Food Bank. They've been a pretty invaluable partner since year 1. They help with a lot of our logistics, a lot of our media outreach and things like that. So they play a huge part and kind of help us move around the tens of thousands of pounds of cans every year, get them to the event place and get them picked up, get them weighed, and make sure everything runs as smoothly as possible. So the event in general started in 1992. I want to say 2006 was the first year for Phoenix Construction. It might have been 2005. Over the years, we've had them at Phoenix City Hall for the first year. We were at Fiesta Mall until it pretty much shut down. In the Phoenix Convention Center. Last year, we were at Arizona Center. And we'll be at a new location, but kind of a nostalgic feel coming up here in a few minutes. Just real quick, last year we finally topped 700,000 pounds of food donated to St. Mary's across all of our events. We really average around 50,000 pounds a year. Some years we'll get significantly higher. 2019 was sadly a banner year for us. We had 2 teams that were deciding to see how much of a 10-foot cube they could fill with cans. So those went a long way to pushing that number pretty high. But again, every year we have a pretty good donation and fill a semi truck or 2 with cans for St. Mary's to put into their system and get to teams or get to people in need. We are back in the summer this year. The event was July 30th. That was on the bottom of the slides. We'll cover the specific dates here in a moment. The summer tends to be St. Mary's time of greatest need. It also kind of coincides with the slowest season for us, I believe, if that is such a thing anymore. During summer, all the kids are home from school. There are no school lunches provided. People don't think charitable thoughts in 110-degree heat generally. So donations for them don't really start ramping back up until September, October. So kind of our late July donation gets them through that last 4 to 6 weeks before the donations start rolling back in. Obligatory mention, Phoenix Construction is not a 501c3 charity. We always look at that every year. It's just difficult to achieve and then maintain over time. So donations to the event itself are not tax deductible. St. Mary's, of course, is a 501c3. So if you're making donations direct to them, that is a different matter. But for the teams and the event as a whole, we are sadly not 501c3. Okay, changes for 2022. And that should be 22 up here, so ignore that one. So this year we are going to be at Arrowhead Town Center, out in Glendale. So a couple reasons for this. Number one, we had some logistical challenges last year. The space was a bit tight. The getting the cans in place was very much a bit tight, and caused some issues and challenges for us. The convention center, they're getting busy again. It's hard to get time there, so we started kind of looking at other potential venues. Arrowhead Town Center actually reached out to us, looking to do kind of a charity donation event exhibition for the mall late last year. With Omicron, that didn't really pan out, but did at least open the door for us to kind of talk to them and see if they'd be entertain an idea of hosting us for 2022, being back in a very public setting at a mall that sees 30 to 40,000 people a day during summer weekends. So we will sadly be back out in front of the public, not located downstairs or in a corner anymore. So sadly, we'll be encouraging everyone to bring their A game this year. I'll share this real quick and close these. So just general floor plan of Arrowhead, we will be at 3 different locations. Each one will have probably between 3 to 6 structures, possibly 7, large one. There will be some in the center court around the escalators, kind of that central circulation area. And then we will have a area in front of JCPenney's and one in front of Dick's Sporting Goods. We have talked about a few other kind of overflow areas if necessary, if we have that many teams, which cross fingers we will. But so we'll have three different areas. We have heard comments from years past. We want to make sure that there are 2 or 3 teams building adjacent to each other, just to keep that feel of the event and friendly competition going. If anyone was ever on the solo team upstairs, the convention center, you know how lonely it can be when you're up there and you have another 11 teams downstairs. So, we'll fine tune this plan as we get more into the structure sketches and sizes, information like that. See if we do need to pull in some additional area near these 2 other kind of anchor buildings. Arrowhead is entirely on board. They will be helping us with kind of marketing and signage and have their own kind of push to get the event known and for their customers and anybody else attending the mall. So it's good to have that kind of support and outreach from the venue as well this year. Let's see if I can find my other roller. Not that one. So just some quick photos if you're not familiar with Arrowhead. 2-story mall. They have 2 empty anchor buildings and 1 empty kind of corridor spot. Otherwise, it's still full. Still a very active space. Pretty much the areas we're looking at currently are just flexible seating. They're easy to move out of the way. So these are the spaces that are being offered. The space I showed on the plan is a little over twice of what we had last year for space, and we have the benefit of having open circulation beside the areas rather than hard walls like we had last year. So we still won't have quite as much space at the convention center, but we will have more for teams, for staging and everything than we did last year at Arizona Center. So yeah, we have pretty much from column to column. We have some area here we can rope off to during build day, but while the structures are up, we're going to be putting stanchions between the columns and trying to make sure that central area stays free of people. So we'll make sure people aren't walking quite as close to the structures that they have in years past. Getting back for the kind of overall general ideas, we will be up for 2 weeks again this year. That's kind of become one of our critical items for any venue we're at. 1 week is just a little bit too tight to get everything built and taken down, and just doesn't really give too many people to get out there and see it over a full weekend. So we will be up for 2 weeks, which means deconstruction is on August 13th. Another change for this year, and this kind of came out of our survey as well as comments in years past, we will have a theme. The theme this year is fairy tales and bedtime stories, chosen by the committee. Pretty much, we're not, you're not hard limited to that. It will be a part of judging. So we ask that, even if it's a very obvious concept, that you do kind of explain how your structure ties to the theme with your project descriptions. We will make sure that judges have access to that information while they are judging. So they'll have the description, they just won't have the firm names because we do try to keep that anonymous. Carrying over change from last year, lighting will be allowed. We will have power available within the spaces. We just ask that if you are considering using lighting, you let us know when you turn in your concept sketches so we can make sure you're in a location that supports a plug-in. If you'd like to use batteries, that's absolutely welcome. Last year we had a challenge. The batteries worked well, but they also timed out after an hour or so. So since we don't have people there to turn them back on regularly, either a long-term illumination or a plug will probably work better. We do have opportunities for unique structural shapes, especially around the escalators. Those structures are probably going to be ones that are 10 feet by 4 to 6 feet deep. We don't really have a 10-foot square there to stay on the carpeting in place, so we'll be kind of adjusting where structures are based on the space available. I'll send out a more detailed map with the team packet, but if you're going to be angling for kind of that primo center spot, definitely kind of look at your structure shape, and maybe this is a year to do a wall or kind of a diorama of some sort. The other change, and this is byproduct of our location, deconstruction will be earlier this year. Usually we try to have it a little bit later, just to give everybody a little bit more time to get there on the weekend. This time with the mall opening at 10, we'd really like everything taken down and the pallets moved out of the way by then. So this year we'll be starting at 7. We're planning for the deconstruction brunch, continuing that concept. We're a little bit more organized this year than last. The mall does have an event space where we'll be hosting that information at, handing out the awards, and everything such as that. So all this will be included in the PDF I sent out for this presentation, also in the team packets once everyone gets registered. Any questions so far on kind of the event changes or overall event info? If not, we'll jump into the dates. All right, so kind of the coming weeks.
Just really quick.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yep, nope.
I just wanted to make sure I fully understand. So there won't be 360-degree view of the structures, right?
So there will be, but there will probably be a structure. We won't have them butted up to each other. So you will be able to see a structure from the opposite side. It probably won't be quite as clear as it was at the convention center.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
So I know some teams have like a little take your photo with Mario opportunity with one of the teams on the call today. That probably won't play quite as well this time around just because we will have structures kind of staggered and backed up to each other. But it's not up against the wall. You still will be able to see the back. So again, judges will as well. So keep that in mind. All right, for dates. So obviously April 14th, we're here at the team kickoff meeting. Registration for teams are due at the end of the month. As long as you let us know that you are going to be participating, there is a little bit of float time there. We always have 1 or 2 teams that are trying to get a check cut from another city and it doesn't arrive in time. So we can work with you, but please let us know if you're going to be participating by 29th so we can start working on the layouts and the spaces we need to work with within the mall. The following Monday after registration, we'll be sending out the team packets. Those include all the required forms, kind of the firm dates here, just the logistical information we'll need from the teams, and kind of tied to the rest of these dates here down below. Beginning of June, we'll be looking at for the structural concept sketches. Again, napkin sketch, SketchUp, Revit, however detailed you want to get with it. Really, as long as you give us the overall dimensions, width, depth, and height. And as I mentioned before, if you're going to have any lighting, that'd be handy to know at that step as well. A few weeks later, we'll also be looking for the team photos and t-shirt orders. And if you're ordering any extras, the payment due, those links are already active on AIA's Square site, so as well as registration and sponsorship. So all those are ready to go when you want to process the payments and get everything formalized. After the July 4th holiday, we'll be looking for the text and logos for the boards that we put together for each team. We'll be looking for your rough can counts. They don't have to be final. We do kind of want an idea of how many cans will be located for each structure, and logistically, if we have any concerns for staging cans around the build areas or anything like that. And also, we will start looking at the can delivery date. So this year, we are looking at only 2 days for drop-off. With the mall configuration, we will be having 2 drop-off areas for St. Mary's, so they're going to have a little bit more logistical coordination on their end. So we're trying to give them an extra day to get everything staged correctly to get out to the mall. Plus, they may have to be dropped off on a Thursday instead of Friday this year. Practice builds. If your team is either new and wants to practice, or is building something questionable or untested, and you want to make sure it stands up, those obviously sometime between when you purchase your cans and when they're due at St. Mary's, you're welcome to do practice builds. If you want to provide us information, that's something that'll be in the packet that you're doing a test build and you'd like, a media or just some photos or just, get a little bit of a teaser that we can use for kind of outreach and social media, by all means, provide it to us and we'll see what we can do to get the information out there and tease a little bit of people. The dates for the event itself, July 25th and 26th, I believe that's a Monday, Tuesday, will be the drop off to St. Mary's. July 29th will be move in. Depending on when this happens, there may not be kind of a team captain versus can confirmation opportunity. So that will be a little bit of a play by ear. We'll hope to have that solidified by May when we have the team packets. If not, we'll let you know closer to the event. Usually we have that so the teams can pick up their t-shirts if they're available. And also to just confirm that all of their cans have in fact arrived, to the site. They're all located adjacent to the structure and there's nothing missing. We've had one time where a pallet was left at St. Mary's and another where 2 teams cans were delivered mixed together. So it's better if we know that beforehand and I can get that addressed before build day. July 30th, 8 a.m. We'll start our build day. One change we're over here momentarily, we will be limiting it to 8 hours this year instead of 12 as previously. We've only ever had one team go over 8 hours, and that's when they were rebuilding and modifying on the fly with some structural issues. So I don't foresee that being a huge issue, just something to keep in mind as you're planning out your structure and your schedule for the day. Judging will be on August 2nd. As always, we kind of suggest if you want to head up there the Monday after build, just make sure everything's still standing correctly. All the letters, if you're using any, are still stuck to the structure. Just make sure everything's exactly as intended before judging. You're more than welcome to. August 13th will be deconstruction, again starting at 7 a.m. We'll send out more information closer to the date, but ladders, laundry baskets, buckets, anything you do to kind of help collect cans and get them to the bins, the better. And then pretty much immediately afterwards, around 10 a.m., we'll do the decompression brunch or the deconstruction brunch. It really just opportunity to get together, enjoy some, I believe, chompies is what we're planning this year. Just talk to the other teams, talk to your firm, relax a little. Then we'll hand out the engraved awards. The actual winners will be announced before that. We will try to get that information included on the structures as soon as available, just so the public can see which ones won which awards.
And there will actually be seating this year, so something.
Exactly, that will also help. All right, public viewing. We're actually expecting probably to have more people spectating build day than we usually do, just because construction's quite the production. It will draw a crowd of curious onlookers, especially when we're at the mall. So the mall opens at 10. If you're still building at that point, you'll probably have quite a crowd watching at times. As far as the completed structure, pretty much the afternoon of July 30th through the end of Friday, August 12th will be the time when the structures are open for viewing. Obviously, being at the mall, will be available viewing while the mall is open. Again, if the structures start to experience significant issues, we will let the team captain know. Something you can go out there and fix, that's great. We will have bins and pallets available if one of the structures comes down. Let's cross our fingers and hope it doesn't, but you never know. We'll try to be prepared. Rules and regulations. These are pretty much taken straight from construction, and they require us to share. So we're happy to oblige. Most of these are familiar if you've done it before and don't ever seem to change. So rule number one, all teams must have at least one member who's architect, engineer, contractor, professor, teacher, other designated design professional, provide mentorship. Again, personally, I don't think I would turn anyone down who is interested. We've had developers, we've had financial backers and banks. So, anything tangentially aligned with the construction industry, more than welcome to participate, especially if they team up with another design or construction firm. Number two, this is important every year, far more so this year. Pretty much must protect and preserve the space we're in. We'd like to be welcomed back to Arrowhead in the future. So every team must have a flooring protection beneath the structure, same as previous years. We ask that that's at least half-inch plywood. Some of the structures will be on fairly thin carpeted areas, so eighth or masonite may not work quite as well. So we'll be looking for a plywood base this year. The committee and event will provide the flooring protection for kind of staging cans, getting the pallets into place, things like that. So don't worry about that. But really just making sure that no cans or pallets are touching the finished floor at any time. And as always, let a committee member know if you do see any damage, whether it's us or it was already there or anything like that, and we'll make sure the party manager's aware of it. Rule number three, pretty much all structures will be photographed twice by the event. Once your team is finished, make sure you find us. We'll come take a photo of your team in front of your structure. And second, once everyone's gone, we will take a photo of kind of the completed structures. These are the ones that we use to send on to the national awards. We've talked about in the past, and we'll probably offer it this year. Let us know which photo you prefer for your team's framed photos. Some teams like the finished structure. Some teams like the teams with all the build members in front of it. If you let us know, we'll make sure your team that gets those photos, just make sure it's all one or the other. Probably splitting is get a little too much of a logistical challenge for us. Other miscellaneous items mentioned before. Pretty much have a 10-foot cube to work with. 10 foot by 10 foot by 10 foot. It must fit within this area, or else you risk being disqualified. Some of the locations, I can think of 3 build areas, will probably be limited to structures of 4 to 5 feet. So if you don't want to go 10 feet and you have a great idea that's short, then there's a great potential that has a specific spot in mind for it already. It doesn't have to be that 10-foot cube. Whichever size you're comfortable with and fits your theme, that's great. As mentioned before, we do have a theme this year. Fairy tales and bedtime stories. You can incorporate this any way you want. We've had debates at our firm what that really means. If you want to go so far as to tie Star Wars to a fairy tale or bedtime story, more power to you. Just make sure it's included in your description of how you're doing that. Same rules previously. Maximum of 5 builders within that building area at one time, touching cans, depending on the structure. Other assistants are more than welcome to help unwrap cans, hand cans into the zone, direct traffic with plans, anything like that, but only 5 can build at a time. We will have our vests out there to kind of mark who is the active builders for each team at the time. Metal, aluminum food cans of all sizes can be used. Plastic wrap foods are allowable, but consider their use and durability. Structures must be completely self-supporting, so cans holding cans all the way to the ground. Leveling boards, as always. Oops, I'll go to the next slide. Maybe one more after this, I'll go over leveling boards. No glass, no non-human food combustion or consumption items. Minimal use of props. Really, you're more than welcome to use that if that gets the theme across and gets the impact you need for your structure. But doing something such as letters or eyes or anything like that with cans will score better with the judges. Junk food is allowable. It's probably not going to contribute too much to best meal, but
I think your mic died, Stephen.
Stephen, we can't hear you.
Better? You're back. Okay.
You're back.
All right. Where did I cut out at?
Junk food.
Right, yeah.
All right. So again, if you need the color or the look of the junk food, it is open to use. Just won't be judged quite as strongly for meals that are nutritious and healthy. We'll say. No opened or exposed food. Cans must be full, unopened, labels intact. Labels cannot be covered, so no paper concealing labels or anything like that. Use the labels as they exist in the stores. Can toppers are are allowed. Those are the small circles that you see cut out of construction paper or anything like that, just to cover the tops of the cans where there's no labels. That is allowed. Just don't impact the label itself on the food. Boxes and props are discouraged. Again, if you can do it with food, it's better to do it that way. If you do need to, it is allowable, just discouraged. No glue, welding, or other permanent affixing of cans. Tape is allowed as long as it's clear. It does make deconstruction a bit of a nightmare, so if you can avoid using it, that's great. But whatever you're using to support your cans or keep your structure stable, it just cannot be a permanent affixment. All right, materials. So 1/4, and actually I'll say 3/16, or sorry. So 7/16 material, anything that thickness or thinner is allowable. Anything a 1/2 inch or more is not, except for your structure base. That includes cardboard, masonite, plywood, plexiglass, no real glass. I don't think anyone's ever actually tried that. And metals, although I don't think anyone's ever really found one that worked out for a price wise. Cardboard tubes can be used as guide, also limited to 1/4 inch thick on the walls. Same with alignment rods. So all thread rods are allowed if you're using it to align your structure, not necessarily for using them as columns to handle the load back down to ground. As mentioned before, Velcro, clear, double-sided tape may be used. Magnets also, I think a lot of teams have looked at that. I'm not sure we've had them used at our structure or at our events before, but they're always out there. Rubber bands, on strings, wire, tiebacks, zip ties, all that have been used before and are more than welcome. No 2x4s, no 1/2 inch plywoods or other materials, no 1/2 inch thick tubing, and no permanent adhesives. Safety, we're getting quite a way down the road. This will all be reiterated closer to build day, so you don't have to remember this. Closed-toe shoes only, no flip-flops or sandals. Cans do fall, and if they land on a toe, it decidedly will sting for a long time. I know that personally. Mindful of when you're building, not to encroach other team spaces or into mall circulation. We will try to have kind of our build areas well defined, just so we can keep a path for people to get to the stores or get around our build areas during build day. Lift correctly. Power tools, we'd rather not have them. If you are going to use them, be sure to check with Diana or I, or Glenn Hurd, who's kind of our build day coordinator. Really, the only place I see them being allowed is if you have a drill with, like a buffing pad to run, a nut or bolt up an all thread or something like that for whatever reason to align your structure. It goes a lot faster that way, especially during deconstruction, so they'd be allowed for that. But no drilling, no sawing, really nothing that's going to create debris within the wall. Be cautious
Nope.
when getting on or off ladders. Yep. Yes, Dana?
No painting.
And absolutely no painting. Again, if you actually have to paint, not on mall property, please. Kids are more than welcome. We have some teams that decidedly field a small softball-sized team of children to help build. All that we ask is once it's above their heads, you keep them away from the structure, just for safety's sake. Recycling, this is something we're still working on. We do try to separate the plastic and the cardboard, so the cardboard can go to recycling. We also try to make sure everything is pretty much thrown away as soon as it's used. We try not to let it gather and create debris piles or unsightly conditions. Doubly concerned this year. We will provide rolling bins for collecting the plastic and cardboard. As far as acquiring cans, each team is responsible for acquiring their own cans. You may pick your source. It usually comes down to what type of cans you're looking for and price. We are working on getting contacts with Bash's, Fry's, Sprouts, the big chain stores again. We had them for a while. We lost them, most of them actually before COVID, and we lost the rest during COVID. So St. Mary's is trying to help us with a single point of contact at the corporate level if you want to work through them. If you have a relationship or you want to work through a single store, you're more than welcome to do that as well. And we will have the contact for McLean Food Solutions as well if you want to work through them for your food. We will try to make sure they understand this year they cannot combine orders on pallets. The only slight drawback we've ever experienced with them. Delivery of cans, you're responsible for getting your cans to St. Mary's. Again, we'll have 2 days for drop-offs. We'll have sign-up spots that kind of are picked throughout those 2 mornings. We do ask that at least one representative arrives with your cans. If your team is dropping off the cans, that's not a concern. If you're having your cans delivered by Fry's or Bash's direct, we kind of try to ask that you meet the shipment out there just so you can talk to the St. Mary's food rep, make sure they understand what the cans are for, and make sure the pallets are labeled correctly with the team numbers. There will be a pretty simple form, just says Canstruction Phoenix, team number, and then you just write in a Sharpie whatever your team number is. Those will be assigned once we have all the teams on board. Just make sure that's pretty much taped to the sides of the plastic wrap on the cans, just so you know which pallets need to go beside which structures. So helps us a lot, and make sure your cans aren't on the wrong side of the mall once we start build day. Signage, Canstruction has a fairly standard 2x3 white foam core red and white graphic that we'll provide. This is where that information you send to us with one of the deadlines goes. Team name, the firms involved, the team captain, and kind of primary team members. Canstruction Global limits it to 5. That's not us, that's them. So pretty much maybe your designers and logistics and team captain. And then also your team description, which really, kind of what it means to your company, how it ties to the concept, and kind of why you're doing community involvement, what do you want to include for the why and what of each structure. You are also welcome to provide your own 24x36 poster board. A lot of firms use these for maybe concept renderings. Occasionally we'll get test build photos. It's a great time to thank your sponsors for helping fund the structure, including sponsor logos, things like that. Those will be on a team provided board, not the event provided board. This information below is what we need for your event sponsor board. And again, I'll send out an example and the base Word file for filling these in once we get closer to that date. Can counts, we'll send an Excel sheet. Very, very basic, just has the store, food type, can color, can price, and quantity, I believe. Just kind of gets us an idea of how much room we need to provide for staging around each structure. Also gives St. Mary's a heads up on what to expect for trucks and deliveries and getting everything to move the cans around. All right, almost done. Build day starting at 8 a.m. Team captain check in at 7:30. Just let us know you're there. I believe the doors to the mall open at 6. We'll work out the logistics of how to bring in leveling boards and the ladders and all the big stuff that's easier to bring up to a door for the teams. We'll make sure you understand where to drop that off at and get into the structures before build time starts. Getting to the no tools comment, do as much of your prefabrication as possible offsite. We understand there is occasional trimming, things like that. If there are, make sure if they're done outside and are non-destructive or permanent marking. As always, bring plenty of extra supplies, tape, rubber bands, foam core, cardboard, whatever you're using for your structure, bring a little bit extra. And bring in the equipment or tools you need, ladder, dolly, Most are already marked with farm name, but just make sure we can identify it if it gets left or they get mixed around some. And as always, make sure you notify a committee member when you're done, just so we can get your team's photo with the structure before you split off for lunch or wherever you're heading afterwards. We will send out a map before build day, so you'll know roughly which space you're in.
We lost you again, Stephen. Stephen.
Yeah, I know.
Okay,
All right, back.
back.
Yay. Again, we will be in a tighter space than we were in previous years. So just be mindful, don't have cans and wrappers and everything going to the wall, blocking the circulation paths, just stuff like that. Keep it within your areas. And food obviously is less of a concern this year than ever before. There are plenty of places to eat around the mall. Starting at 10 a.m. when the mall is officially open. Photography, I've covered all this before. We'll take 2 photos, one with your team, and then one kind of a bit more of a glamour shot for submitting to Canstruction Global for awards. If you do a time lapse, just make sure it's somewhere out of the way. There's probably some spaces, ledges you can rest on. If you bring a GoPro on a tripod of some sort, make sure it's not blocking a walk path. And also, if you do a time lapse, please share it with us just so we can share it with the public and they get an idea of exactly what goes into a construction build. We'll be trying to get some of our own this year and see if we can actually get it produced like we've tried before, but have never gotten one quite to work the way you want it to. Judging, same as previous years, shouldn't be anything too new here. It will be on August 2nd. It is anonymous, so we will take down all the signs with firm information, things like that. We will provide the judges with the description for each structure. So they will have the information, they'll understand how you're tying to the theme, information like that. As one team discovered last year, going for best meal, they put together small kind of menus of what they can make with their structure. They were wise enough to keep all the company logos off of it, so they were allowed to stay with the structure during build day. If you want to do that within your description, that's great too. If you leave too many menus, they may just get taken by the public this year, since we'll be in a little bit more of a readily available area. The categories: best original design, juror's choice from years past; structural ingenuity, best meal, best use labels, most cans; honorable mentions if there's a structure that ranked second across multiple categories but didn't quite win one of them; and then people's choice, which we're still working out how the voting is going to work from that this year. We like online voting. Being in public, we'd really like to involve them in the voting as well. So we don't really know what that's going to look like quite yet this year. Deconstruction, August 13th, again at 7 a.m. You're responsible for helping take down your structure and removing any boards or other materials used to build the structure. Again, we will be trying to get everything taken down and moved out in 3 hours this year. That is ambitious. Last year it took significantly longer, but we're in a better location for moving things around this year. So hopefully we'll be able to get everything out of the way before the mall opens and get our pallet jacks and flooring protection out of the public view. So pretty much just help us get everything down into the pallets. We'll take it from there to get them moved to the loading dock where St. Mary's will pick them up. We'll, again, brief everybody on the day of, but please don't put plastic water bottles or beans at the bottom of the bin. They do get ripped and crushed. Similarly, don't stack cans inside the bins. They fall over when we take a corner. All of these are lessons learned the hard way. Decompression brunch, again, just we'll take everything down, come upstairs, grab a quick bite, collect your awards if your team wins any. And otherwise, we'll just wish everyone a good year, give kind of the final numbers and counts for what the year's event did. St. Mary's will kind of give their spiel about how many meals it'll provide, what it means to the community, and we'll be done for the year.
Okay, Stephen, I just want to clarify one thing. So the teams are responsible for for removing their leveling boards. They do not put them in the bins, correct?
Correct. Yes, and same with the leveling boards and the base board. Really, we'd like to be able to throw that away, but most of the places we have our vents have compactors, and the masonite board does not play nice with compactors. It jams them up pretty good if it gets down below the compacting rod. So generally, we just expect most teams will take them if they can reuse them in a future year. That's great. If they can use them at home, that's also great. If they, construction project and they just wind up in that dumpster, that's fine too. That's where I think ours tend to wind up unless they're plywood and they get, used in a shop somewhere. All right, that is the basics of the event. I'm trying to cover the changes for this year. Any questions from either new or experienced people? Questions from previous years? You have suggestions you have, anything like that?
But Diana, I saw the link that you posted for us to pay. What do we need to do as far as like the entry part to show who's on our team?
We'll send out the registration form as well.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll have that posted.
Okay, great.
And really, when you register, so long as you have your probably team captain email and phone number, I can reach out from there to the team captain just to confirm the rest of the information.
That sounds good.
And you're gonna send that out via email, or are you gonna post it on the Facebook? I had a little bit of trouble getting a hold of you guys this year.
Okay. Yeah, email is the best way by far.
Okay. I can put
we-
mine in the chat, and you can just.
Okay.
would
That
be
will work.
awesome.
I will add you to our distribution list, and I'll make sure you have the form and everything we've already sent out for this year.
Awesome. Thank you.
And everything will be posted to the AIA Phoenix Metro website as well.
Yep. And also,
That's
yeah, we have an event website. We're working on getting all of our current and previous domain names under control. I believe right now we are constructionphx.com. We have been .org in the past. We're trying to get that domain relinked just so all previous locations go to our current site. Additionally, you can just search Phoenix Construction and it should be one of the top results. And again, we'll post any updates, informations, forums, or anything there as well.
Stephen,
All right. Yep. Go
I had a
Daniels.
question. Will you be sharing that plan of the mall that you showed during this presentation before we send our sketches, or will that be after you've sort of decided where they go?
I will send it. I will probably send an overall one with the team packet. So on May 2nd, a month before the sketches are due.
Okay.
Obviously, the final layout really won't be determined until we find out the size and
understand.
proportions. But yeah, we'll send out that so you kind of understand the sizes for each area. I'll try to include that.
I do have another question. It seems like there won't be any structure that can be sort of walked around in 360 degrees. Is that correct?
That is correct. So you might be on a corner. Again, the back of the structures will be visible, but that will be visible from 10, 20 feet away in a gap between two other structures.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, people won't be walking up close to the structures and between them this year.
And then I think you mentioned that there are some sort of weird spaces next to escalators and things like that. Will you be determining who goes there based on their sketch, or is that sort of something like somebody might get unlucky and be there and then have to modify it later? Is that
correct? So yeah, we'll assign positions based on the sketches and the sizes we receive there.
Okay.
So, and I will try to note kind of the max size in different areas with that overall sketch that goes out with the team packets in May.
I see. Okay.
Just so you know if you have a 5-foot structure, you're probably going to wind up near the escalator.
Is it true to say that the majority of spaces are not like that?
Yeah, there's only three I think spaces we have that are going to be strongly limited by height. There's probably 4 that are going to be limited by depth,
I
and
see.
one of those overlaps. So, historically, knowing the structure collections that we get, I'm confident everyone will find a space within the areas we have pretty easily.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
When we send in our concepts, could we request a certain space, understanding that it may not be, if multiple people request the same thing?
That is a good question. We've thought about doing that before. Really, we never sent out a plan before, kind of very late in the process. It doesn't hurt to make the request. I'll put it that way. We send out the team packets. I will put that reminder in there. If you're aiming for one particular, we will try to accommodate you. But it just really comes down to which teams we have that are 2-sided, 3-sided, are short or shallow, or just the size and forms.
Yeah.
So yes, we'll try to accommodate it. No guarantees, of course.
Awesome. Thank you.
So again, much more exposure. I was trying to find my notes, Stephen, when we met with the mall about how many visitors they have. I mean,
30 to 40,000 on a weekend day, 40 to
Right?
60 across a weekend.
yeah, it's fantastic. So
So,
super excited.
It definitely will be probably the most we've had since we were at Fiesta, honestly. The convention center, maybe when we happen to share the space with an event by happy accident, we may have gotten a couple thousand, but usually we're in the hundreds.
And I'm guessing, especially with the support from the marketing team from Arrowhead, that our media exposure will be greatly increased.
Yep. All right. Any other questions? All right. I guess thank you all very much. If you have any questions that come up in the meantime, or as you start planning your teams or structures or anything like that, please email us. Again, Phoenix Construction at gmail.com or Canstruction Phoenix Metro at gmail.com. Both are active this year. We'll be shutting down the first one at the end of the year. So you only have one place to look. All right. I guess thank you all very
Thank you.
much. I will end the recording, and if you have any other questions, feel free to stick around or anything comes to mind. Thanks all.
Thanks, Stephen.
Thanks, Stephen.
Thank you.